All right, page 3 of your notes here, and we've got, and we've got, we're going backwards this time. We've got the graph already, and we've got a point that it's going to go through, and we're going to have to use the graph and specifically use the roots to find out what the equation was for the polynomial graph shown. So we're working backwards from what we've been doing over these last few. Now, if it's written in its factored form, then a polynomial equation is going to be f of x is equal to an a value, some number out front, times those factors. And so let's kind of use that as our model as we go through. And so for a here, we've got what appears to be a double root, or not appears, it is a double root at -2. So -2, 0 is a double root, meaning our factor here would be, f of x would be a times x plus 2 squared, because it's a double root, it's bouncing off there. And then it has another root at 0. Another root here over at 0. So 0, 0. And that root, or that factor rather, is going to be x. If you want to write x plus 0, you could, but we'll write that just as x. And now we need to figure out what our a value is. Luckily we're given that it goes to the point 1 comma -3, and thinking through, that's an x value comma y value, and all we're going to do is plug those in. So y is our f of x, so -3 equals a times 1, that's my x value, plus 2 squared times 1, again the x value. Now before we even solve for a, we can look at this and go, hey, this is going to be a cubic function. That's x to the third, because it's heading opposite directions. It's got 3 roots. Now if it's starting at the positive side, it's heading towards positive infinity. As x gets more and more negative, y gets more and more positive. And as x gets more and more positive, y gets more and more negative. And we should be able to kind of reason out that a better be a negative value, because it's starting at the positive y and ending at a negative y. Now let's go through and see if that's what we in fact get. So -3 equals a times, well, 1 plus 2 is 3, and 3 squared is 9, times 1. And sorry, my a and my 9 look a little bit similar, but that's going to end up giving us -3 equals 9a. Divide each side by 9, and a is going to be equal to -1/3. And that makes sense, because we said that it should be heading, it would have to be a negative a value since it's starting positive and ending negative. Now our final answer needs to be back in this form right here. So we've got f of x equals our a value, -1/3, and then we can just leave it in the rest of it in its factored form. So -1/3 times x times x plus 2 squared. Okay, hope that makes a little bit of sense. Let's try the next one as well. Over here we don't have any double or triple roots. They're all just head on through, no hesitations or anything. But we have 3 roots here. This one's going to be at 0, 0. This one's here at 1, 0. And this one's here at 2, 0. All right, so we have f of x is equal to some a value, and hopefully we're seeing that, hey, this one's going to have to be a positive a value. It's starting negative when x is negative and ending positive when y is positive when x is positive. So a times our first root is at 0, so a times x, and again that could be x plus 0 if that trips you up a little bit. Then x minus 1, that's our factor if 1 is a root, and x minus 2. It goes through the point of -1, -6, so we have -6 is equal to a times -1 times -1 minus 1 and -1 minus 2. All we did was plug in our x and y values into our equation below. All right, we've got -6 as we work our way through. -6 is equal to a times, well, -1 minus 1 is -2, and -1 minus 2 is -3, and that's times -1. So we have +2 times -3 is -6. Divide each side by -6 and we get that a is equal to 1. All right, and it's positive, just like we thought. It starts negative, ends positive. It's going to have to be a positive a value. Our final answer here is that f of x is equal to 1, if you want to write that in. But a being 1, so 1 times x minus 1 times x minus 2. And if it doesn't specify what form of the equation, then go ahead and leave it just like that. If it did say, hey, put this into standard form, you would need to multiply that all out. Just make sure you're reading the directions for what the problem says. This one doesn't ask, just says write the equation, so we are done. Hope that helps.